Hello, my name is Jimmy Simpson. I'm the business employment consultant for Region 4, that is the Upper Cumberland area of Tennessee, with vocational rehabilitation. We assist individuals with disabilities in their job search and with job retention. And we also work with the employers that hire those individuals on various things. I have been doing this kind of work since 2011 here in the region. Uh, I'm very well acquainted with the local businesses. Uh, I have direct contacts with many, many human resources directors and HR generalists in the area. And the information that I'm going to provide to you today has come from that 14 years of experience in this area. We're going to start off with an online job search. This is often the hang up that most people encounter in today's job search market. Uh, it seems overwhelming and daunting. There's so many opportunities out there. How do you select? How do you narrow down? And we're going to talk about all of that as we go through this morning. Here's where you're going to start. Various online job search tools: Indeed, Snagajob, Google, Simply Hired, TAP, the talent acquisition portal, Jobs for TN, and the list goes on and on as far as options to use for online job searches. Uh, I want to begin here with kind of the bare basics. This is an Indeed job search that I have done. You can see the biomed technician is highlighted there. It tells you to apply on the company website. Here's some do's and don'ts. Use search engines to narrow down the list of opportunities. Get the company information. As you see, all of these positions, luckily, have the employer listed there. Uh, if the employer is not listed, it's probably going to take you some time to research that uh, if you really want to apply for a specific position. Look at the job description, look at the requirements, really kind of ask yourself, does this fit me? Uh, if it does, add it to your notes, and I'll get to how I do notes here in just a minute. I can't stress it enough. This is not the time to start applying for jobs. That's going to come later. Here, you're just looking at what's out there and just a cursory, here's the jobs that I want to go back and look at more. You can see here how I organize a job search when I do one for a customer. Uh, I open a Word document. You can see that there on the left of your screen. On the right is the online job search that I've done. This person really wants that biomed position. That's what they're looking for, something along those lines. So as you can see there on the right, I've highlighted the information, copied it. You can do that using the Control-C button, or you can left click on what you have highlighted and it will give you the options to copy that information. Then you come over to your Word document, uh, and pasting it is as easy as pushing Control V at the same time. Or again, you can right click and select the paste option from the menu that comes up. You could do this with a notebook, uh, any way that it works for you. At this point, you're just, um, it's kind of like Thanksgiving dinner. You want a little bit of everything to taste it, especially, with new dishes. So you put a little bit of everything on your plate. You go, you eat that plate, and then if you're like me, you narrow down what you really want, and then you go load your plate up with those 2 or 3 items that you really want more of. Here, you're just filling your plate. Uh, you are not committed to anything, and again, do not apply for jobs at this point. Go through your online options, find positions you might be interested in, copy it, paste it, and then go on to the next one. Um, Once you get your list there of things that you're really interested in, go back and start looking at the company's website. Here, Cookeville Regional Medical Center, we've got their careers page on the right, our notes in Microsoft Word on the left. Uh, make sure that the job you're looking for is on their careers page if the company has one. It may be that the listing you saw is old. It may be that the listing you saw is fake. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute or two. Uh, it turns out this biomed technician job is not actually an opening. Again, it may be fake, it may be old. You have to keep in mind, submitting applications, you're giving out your personal identifying information. You don't want that to fall into the wrong hands. So you're wanting to make sure that the applications you submit are actually going to the company you're applying for. That's why I strongly, strongly recommend do not apply for a job through the links on any of the job search engines that you use. Follow up on the company's website. Find it there. Uh, then apply through the company. Because here's the thing, if they've taken time to create a page where they put all of their job openings, I will guarantee you that that is the way they want you to apply. Okay? Some may still accept applications through Indeed, but this is going to be the primary way. So don't waste your time applying uh, in places that a company's not going to get the information. Here is another search engine, Jobs for TN. One of the strengths that it has is it tells you uh, when a job opportunity was posted by an actual person at a company. You can see here the Packers position. They're at the top of the list, Altium Healthcare. Uh, with that little yellow star, that tells you that somebody at that company has gone in and posted that job. Uh, One, this is going to tell you that it is a viable open job for applications. It's also going to tell you the company is expecting applications to come from the Jobs for TN system. But again, it's not a bad thing to go to the company's website, see if they've got the listing there, and apply there. Talent acquisition portal. This is another uh, research tool, another place to find job openings. Uh, these are all entered by an employer who is actively looking for someone to fill these roles. After you've gone through, sorted out all of the uh, potential jobs, after you've gone through and verified how a company wants you to apply, and after you have applied for, or even before, uh, it's always a good idea to research the company. Go to their website. I'll guarantee you there's going to be a our story or a about us or our history page on their website. It's going to tell you where they came from, where they're going, what they're looking to do, the big overall picture. You'll be able to see what employees think of being there at the business. Um, but it's going to give you an idea of the culture and the kind of people that they're looking for and what they expect. Uh, Again, take notes. Copy and paste is your friend. It's just a couple of keystrokes, and you've got that information to go back and look at further when you really have the time, because you're not going to research every company that you have a job opening in your notes for. Uh, you're going to only do that for the ones that you're really serious about applying at. That becomes kind of your premier list. And those are the ones that you're definitely going to go in and apply for in the manner the company wants you to apply, whether it's on a search engine or whether it's at their website. Again, strongly emphasizing apply on their website if that is possible. The job uh, posting is also going to give you the job description. It's going to tell you the who's and what's and the expectations of the company. Here you'll find out the minimum qualifications. They would like a high school education, but if you don't have a high school diploma, then they will look at your work history and year for year give you credit for any secretarial or office clerk work. Then the necessary qualifications, things that they're not going to budge on, are listed here. Uh, with this, of course, it mentions criminal history. Here I want to throw in, it's very easy to allow the worst 30 seconds of your life to impact the rest of your life. Uh, we have a moment where we make a poor decision, we end up in trouble with the law. You fix that and you move on. Um, don't withhold the information. In fact, if a company's looking for that on an application, if they ask if you have ever been convicted of a felony, uh, and let's say you have, um, I would strongly encourage get in touch with the company. Disclose, hey, I'm applying for such and such. I do have a felony conviction from 15 years ago. It was an aggravated assault. I made a poor decision. This was the circumstances, but that's over and done. Then the company is expecting that on the application, and they already have information to kind of weigh that out. Hiding it, waiting for a criminal background check to come back and just hoping that stuff isn't on there, that's not the way to go about it. It may even be if you've got a questionable past, uh, go get a criminal history record. Make sure you know what is on there, what is not. There may have been charges that you were put on a probationary program where at the end of it, the charge was supposed to be expunged, but it hasn't been. And you can work all those issues out. But don't be afraid of things like this. Uh, in some instances, companies are willing to make accommodations and to work with individuals. But if you make them find out about it on their own, I'll guarantee they're not going to work with you. Uh, Driver's license requirements are usually non negotiable, uh, but that gives you an idea of how the job description is going to help you. What you're going to learn is what they expect you to know, what they expect you to be able to do, and what they need you to know how to do. Most things are going to be taken care of by having the minimum required education when it comes to knowing how to do things. They're going to require a trade school certificate or a special license or whatever. Here's what you've got to be able to do. Use these things as guideposts in your application and your resume. Make certain that you address in your application where you gained the knowledge that they're looking for and how you have in other roles applied the skills that they are looking for. Uh, don't make an employer guess. They will always guess wrong. Uh, Never make assumptions about whether or not you're qualified. Do review the job description, do your research. Make sure this is a job that if you're offered it, you really want it. Uh, Even if you have worked in a similar role at a different company, read that job description. Don't assume anything. And while I'm on that, when it comes to work history, don't leave assumptions, don't leave gaps in your work history. If, let's say, you had to leave a job, you were out of work for 3 years because a spouse was sick and you needed to care for them or a child or whatever. Don't leave that gap. Make sure, address that. You know, cared for elderly relative. Uh, because if you leave a 3 year gap, the question that's going to come up in the mind of the employer is what kind of charges could you be sent to prison for 3 years for? Don't leave it up to them. Tell them what's going on with those gaps. Remember that your application is your ticket to interview. This is where they get that first look at who you are, and they begin to evaluate whether or not, right or wrong, whether or not you're going to be able to do the job, fit with the team they have, uh, and not be, uh, I guess, a headache. They're looking for somebody that can get along with other people. Uh, be as thorough as you can in your application and on your resume. I am thoroughly convinced that 99% of the time, the most qualified person for the job does not get the job. For some reason, they are screened out in the process. So, in all honesty, if you meet the minimum requirements and have a little bit above and beyond, uh, you'll still be competitive with other folks. Uh, Here's a mindset thing. When you are looking for a job, your job is finding you a job. And I always ask people, if you were paying somebody to find you a job and they were performing uh, that in the same way that you are, would you fire them? Uh, Amazingly, most folks say yes, they would fire themselves uh, for doing the job that they're doing, trying to find themselves a job. You've got to be committed to it. You have to put in the time. Uh, you know, that 40-hour week should be spent uh, doing job search, following up on applications, submitting other applications, going to interviews, following up after the interview, sending thank you cards, and on and on and on. If you're spending a day just sitting there flipping through the channels watching TV, that's a day that's wasted. So make sure you remain committed to what you have to do to find the job that you want. Um, some things to do regarding follow up on applications. Always, always, always contact the company. Ask if they got your application. Ask if there's any other information that they need. Even if you get an email saying, hey, we got your application, you're being considered. Still, within 24 hours of submitting your application, call the company. Ask them if they got it. Ask if there's anything else they need, because here's what that does for you. It pulls you out of the pile. They have to think about you. They have to look at your application. Uh, and for the most part, applicants aren't going to be doing that. So you've already kind of jumped to the head of the line there. Uh, when they call you to interview, uh, make certain you know where you're going. You may want to do a dry run a few days before, around the same time that your interview is going to be, especially if you live in a very congested area like Nashville or Mount Juliet or Lebanon within the area that I live in. Make the employer aware of any accommodations that you might need. If you have a hearing loss and use hearing aids, make certain that they know that uh, you may need a bit of an accommodation in the way that they communicate, so that when the number 4 interviewer is finished with their question, and suddenly the number 1 interviewer on the other side comes up with their question, you're able to track that progress in the conversation. This is also especially true for individuals with vision loss or blindness. Don't be afraid to disclose that disability and ask for whatever you're going to need to make sure you give the best impression possible. Always get a contact number and a name just in case something happens at the last minute that is going to delay or prevent you from attending the interview. Uh, reality is it's the worst time to get rear-ended, but you get rear-ended. Don't leave that interviewer just sitting there. As soon as you know you're going to be held up, call them. Tell them why. Uh, and like I said earlier, do a practice run. Know where you're going. Know where you need to park. Know how long it's going to take you to get from where you park to the entrance. Just be as prepared as possible. Uh, let's move on to interviews a little bit more. Uh, we're going to look at the purpose, preparation, preparedness, presentation, and ultimately what I call the power conclusion. So, the purpose of an interview is to allow the company, the interviewers, to learn more about you, but also to allow you to learn more about them. Uh, one of the local employers, one of the big box stores, their HR manager has the department managers conduct job interviews within the department in the store. So if you're applying for a uh, a position over in the meat department, part of your interview is going to be in the freezer. It's going to be in the cooler. It's going to be, seeing the things that you're actually going to be doing. Uh, that gives you an idea. Do I really want to do this? The interview is a two-way street there. They're looking at whether or not you fit them, and you're looking at whether or not they fit you. Uh, the interview, like I said, is that introduction where folks start and employers start really answering whether or not they want to continue that relationship. Your application is your ticket to interview. Make certain it is absolutely as thorough as it can be, because the interview is where uh, the employer decides if they want you, and it's where you decide if you want them. Benjamin Franklin said that if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail, and that is so true in life, but especially when it comes to interviews. Uh, they're going to be asking a multitude of questions, and your answers need to be given in to make the most of the interview in a STAR format. They're going to ask about, uh, you know, how you did the same work at a previous job, and there it's situation. What was going on? Task, what you were asked to do, action, what you actually did, and what the result was. Uh, Mr. Smith, can you tell us about your experience with forklifts? Well, I, worked at ABC Construction, and we had a really important job that needed to be completed early so we could get on to another construction site. I was familiar with forklift operations, so for 3 days I was just running a forklift for the other workers, getting them the material that they need, and when it was said and done, we were actually even a day earlier than we needed to be. Uh, you've answered their question, but you've done it in a context that promotes confidence. There's also three different types of interviews: in person, virtual, and telephonic. Within that, there are two other kinds: either an individual interviewer or a panel interview. Uh, the panel interview seems to be a little more intimidating, uh, and naturally so, because now you've got more than just one person kind of deciding your fate. And you feel like you have to convince all three, four, or five of them that you can do the job. Just calm down. Give them the answers, be honest and truthful and open, and you'll be fine. Regardless of whether it's in person, on telephone, or online, a job interview is in person. You are speaking to someone who can make the decision that is going to either give you the ability to feed your family and take care of your needs, or they can decide that you're not the right person and move on to candidate number two. Do every single interview as if it is face to face. Get up, eat your breakfast, take a shower, brush your teeth, get dressed, uh, and dress the way you would if you were walking in. It's something about the clothes we have on and the persona that we portray, even to ourselves, that kind of influences uh, how we respond to these questions that are being asked. A functional interview deals with specific tasks and duties. A behavioral interview focuses more on you as a person and how you handle specific situations. A functional interview is going to be along the lines of when and what that you have done. A behavioral interview is going to be more along the lines of tell us about a time when X happened and how you uh, resolved that situation. Uh, the behavioral, they're looking more for character, for ethics, for problem solving, conflict resolution. With the functional, they're looking for proficiency and skills. Regardless of the type of question, that STAR answer formula still pertains. The situation, what you were told to do, what you did, and how everything turned out. Uh, Here's something else, and we'll go over a few of the most difficult questions you'll run into in a job interview in a bit, but take time to actually study for the interview. Uh, like I said, this presentation has 17. We're not going through all of them, but you can do a Google search for most difficult interview questions and use those to do your studying. Actually, write down your answers in a notebook. Uh, then you can go back and review those. But just the point of writing it, people remember more of what they write than what they read. So taking that time to write it down is going to be the one of the best things you can do to prepare for the interview. If you have a disability, uh, it is highly advised, if you have not already disclosed your disability to the employer, the interview is it is critical that you share that information now. What I have seen time and time again is someone is scared to death that if an employer knows that they have a back injury, then the employer's not going to hire them. Well, what ends up happening is that injury impacts productivity. You're not able to do as much because that injury has limited you. And eventually it gets to the point where there's maybe a discipline process that's being made. You know, you're being formally counseled with a letter going in your HR file. And it's at this point that people say, well, I've got a bad back. Uh, that's the worst thing you can do. Because right, wrong, or indifferent, when you have let it go to that point before you disclose that you have a disability, at that moment you put the employer on the offensive, and right, wrong, or indifferent, that employer is going to begin to nitpick your work and look for any valid reason that they can discharge you from that job, that they can fire you, uh, and not be held responsible, and it not be tied to your disability. Because what you've done is, like I said, put them on the defensive to prepare for a, Americans with Disabilities Act lawsuit. That's exactly how they see it. Uh, be ready to help the interviewer picture how you can do the job that they are asking you to do with accommodations or without them. Help them see you doing what they need you to do. Here again, the 17 most difficult questions. Uh, every answer to the question needs to be framed with your job performance in mind. Uh, Often interviews start with, tell us about yourself. And people start with, their family, five brothers, two sisters, born in Virginia, raised in Tennessee, along those lines. That's really not what the employer wants. When they are asking you to tell them about yourself, they're wanting you to help them see you in the light of performing that job. This is the time to, well, I have this experience from this position, and I've done this before for 3 years for this company. Uh, Take that opportunity right then. You can see there are several more questions here. An example of a behavioral question: tell us about a time you were asked to perform a task outside the scope of your duties. Your employer comes to you and says, hey, I need your help doing X. If you respond that you told your supervisor, that's not my job, you that's the wrong answer. Okay? Uh, regardless of what people think, an employer has the right to ask you to do anything that is legal and that benefits the company while you're on their time clock. There is no, that's not my job. So just be ready for that. Tell us about the most difficult supervisor you've ever worked for. This is a trap, folks. Don't fall into it. Don't bite the bait. You absolutely do not want to start ranting about a jerk you worked for 3 years ago, okay? Because that communicates to the interviewer immaturity, holding a grudge, judgmentalism, and those are all things that they don't want in their companies. Uh, the best answer, like I've got here, is start when everybody has times where they can be challenging. You know, I'll guarantee you, you have at some point in your life been the most difficult person someone else has had to deal with up to that point. So keep that in mind as you answer that question. Uh, Again, practice the interview before. Go to the location, find out where you're going to be, find out where you got to park, how long it's going to take you to get there, what traffic is like, and on and on and on. Uh, if you are 5 minutes early for an interview, you are late. 10 minutes early is on time. 20 minutes early, that may be a little excessive, okay? But always be available for that interviewer as quickly as possible. And that means at least 10 minutes early. Plan for it. Uh, Dress codes, my recommendation is one level above what you see in that company on a general basis. So if you're working or if you're planning to work in a uh, uh, warehouse, and this is going to sound freaky, but go park in a parking lot around quitting time. See what people are wearing when they come out. If they're wearing jeans and a t-shirt, then you should be dressed in a pair of slacks and a collared shirt. A polo with short sleeves, that's fine. But one level over, if everybody's coming out in khakis and button-up shirts, you need to throw on a tie. If everybody's coming out wearing ties, you need to throw on a coat. So go along with that. Something that should go without mentioning, hygiene. Uh, Take a shower. Use deodorant. Brush your teeth. Comb your hair. Iron your clothes. That interview is going to be the only time that that company gets to make a first impression of you. Don't force them to make the wrong first impression. The more time that you invest in preparation for interviews and the more time you invest in preparation with your applications, uh, the more prepared you're going to be. Uh, Power conclusion. Be ready with your own questions. This requires you to have done research on the company, knowing where they came from, where they're going, how you see yourself fitting in, your goals, your aspirations. Do you want to come in and just, 9 to 5, do your job and go home? Or are you wanting an opportunity to move up within a company? Uh, when they ask you if you have any questions for them, use that time. Don't talk about salaries or schedules unless there is an absolute hard and fast, cannot be rescheduled event uh, in your life. Uh, if you have a regular doctor's appointment every second Tuesday or every other Tuesday, make sure that employer knows that you're going to need that accommodation, that time off. Uh, I would ask about their timeline, you know, something to the effect of, I'm certain that you've got other individuals that you're going to be interviewing. I am curious, though, if you have any idea of when you expect to make a decision. Now, with that, you've asked them when you can expect them to get back with you. But you need to short circuit that. When you get home from this interview, you're going to email the interviewer or interviewers if there was a panel. Make sure you don't leave that room without their contact information, their name and their email at a minimum. Okay? Email them. Hey, thank you so much for your time. It was great getting to know you. I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. I fully hope to get the job. If you have any other questions that I need or that you need answered, feel free to give me a call and make sure that in there you give them your contact information. Uh, but by making that, doing that email, that little outreach, now you've started the process of kind of living inside their head rent free. Okay? It's at that point that you are forcing kind of their hand in looking at you. Hey, just wanted to say thank you. Now they're thinking about you. They're going back, well, hey, how was his interview? Well, it was a little shaky here. But, he gave me, he emailed me, he thanked me, da, da, da. Well, then, a couple days later, send them an actual card. When they get that card, now they're thinking about you. It may be that, they're kind of at an impasse, tossing around between you and another candidate. And they get that little card that says, hey, just wanted to tell you thank you again for your interview. I greatly look forward to hearing from you, and I would love to work for your company. The other guy they're looking at didn't send any thank you notes. Who do you think's going to get the job? Uh, like I said, send them that note. Call to follow up based on the time frame that you were given. An actual handwritten thank you note. If you have any other questions, here's my contact information. My phone's 931-316-9003. And there's my email, jimmy.b.simpson@tn.gov. I greatly thank you for taking this hour out of your day to invest in yourselves by learning more about how to do an online job search and how to make the most out of an interview. I hope this helps you. Have a great day.